My name is Jessica Paul. Today we are interviewing Zandy Wong. If you want to introduce yourself, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Zandy Wong. I am a student at Johns Hopkins where I study neuroscience. I love neuroscience because it's so interdisciplinary and see how the body works and the brain, of course.
Can you tell me a little bit about your background in neuroscience research?
Well, I didn't really get started into neuroscience research until this summer. Most of my research has been computer science based, but I got into neuro because I wanted to see the neuroscience behind hearing loss and how that affects. And my current research this summer focused on investigating hippocampal place cell plasticity experience, especially hippocampal place cell experience dependent plasticity. Some background if you don't know what hippocampal place cells are. They are these place cells that they they are cells in the hippocampus that fire at a specific location, and they're kind of like a marker. So sometimes these cells they're punctuated by their firing rates, and sometimes these firing rates shift backwards so that these firing rates come sooner and sooner closer together. So it's sometimes an indication that experience-dependent plasticity, that the brain is able to make more connections, transmit more information at a time, is working. And we see this in a shift because since the firing rates are moving backwards, it's evidence that the postsynaptic connections are being closer together. That's the gist of my research this summer. So yeah, I got involved this summer at Johns Hopkins. It's really all really exciting.
That's super awesome. I would be really excited to be able to do that kind of research. What originally drew you to your interest in pursuing neuroscience?
I originally got into neuroscience because I was looking for a major that had to do with hearing loss, and the most common major is communication science and disorders, but neuroscience was able to focus on all the interdisciplinary parts that I wanted to, and really the brain and the ear work so much together to form hearing, and that's why I decided to go into neuroscience.
What obstacles did you face in the path to getting you where you are as a college neuroscience major?
I might have mentioned before, but I am a hard of hearing student. I had always been kind of on the fray, kind of people doubted me because they couldn't understand me because my speech wasn't the greatest at the time. So when people told me that they couldn't understand me, I just worked harder to improve my speech to get to that point. And then I guess people don't realize sometimes what the challenges a person with disability faces versus non-disabilities. I've had people tell me that yes, it's great that there's opportunities reserved for people like me, for people that are underrepresented in STEM, but those opportunities should also be reserved for people that don't fit in those categories. And that was only recently, and it was really hard to hear that because I thought people had changed at that point. I also faced isolation. They didn't take the time to listen, and it would have been great if they take the time to listen. So that was often a little tough to work through, but I came out of it a stronger person, so I'm really proud of that.
What part of the brain still fascinates you, whether it be like a certain area or a kind of like function that carries out?
The hippocampus is really fascinating to me because that's what most of my work is focused on this summer and what I hope to continue working on in the fall. It's really fascinating because it controls so much memory. There's a famous study from like 30 years ago. Um, they had to remove this guy's hippocampus because he was having these really bad seizures. And then they removed the hippocampus, he lost all recollection. Like he had all his old memories, but he couldn't create any new memories without the hippocampus. So it's really interesting to see how we can quantify memory as less abstract and more concrete so we can figure out what exactly goes into memory.
I think I heard about that study when I was taking a neuroscience course, and I found that also like super interesting how that affected
Mhm.
his memory. How do you feel about your current place in neuroscience and the contributions that can be made by students?
I feel really excited. I've actually never taken a neuroscience class, but I'm really excited to do that at Johns Hopkins. I feel like there's so much more that we can explore. I'm not sure what specifically, but the brain is still there's so much unknown that we don't know about it. So I'm really excited to keep exploring that at Johns Hopkins.
Interpret this how you want to, but what does the field of neuroscience, in your opinion, need more of?
But definitely needs more diversity. not just like raising people up, but showing people that their ideas matter, that they can do it if they want to, and that everyone brings something to the table and they should be proud of it. So I'm excited to keep working to help increase and spread awareness for like underrepresented minorities and students with disabilities in the field of neuroscience because it's a really exciting field.
What do you think the biggest misconception made about you or neuroscience?
Biggest misconception people have about neuroscience is that it's too hard for them. It does have a bit of a learning curve, and there is a lot of nuances with it, but if you put in the time and effort, you'll be able to learn something and be proud of what you're speaking about, and that's something really exciting to smile about.
Yeah, I think it's definitely like super time consuming, but you really do end up getting so much out of it and learning a ton of new, a ton of new things. How did you get yourself ready for a challenging career or a challenging major while you were still in high school?
So I still have no idea really what I want to do in my life. My plan is to be pre-med right now, and I wasn't really intending to do neuroscience. I actually applied as a data science, computer science major, but I think the key to me to like figuring out that I want to do a STEM career is investing in yourself and being curious. First, investing in yourself is taking the time to choose activities that really suit what you want to do. And you don't have to create something new. You just have to make something better. Like there's all these organizations out there that are amazing, but and you don't have to try to replicate it. You can try to go in there and see what you can do and make better. And I think being curious is a big part. History is my favorite subject actually, so I love looking at history and seeing how interdisciplinary it is. But it's just seeing the connections between subjects that's really important to get ready for a STEM career because we're not only doing this research to be curious, we're doing it because it helps someone. And then, what was the last thing? I think the last thing that really helped me, propel me along this path was building relationships with people. They talk about networking and connections, and I really do believe it matters. Like some of the amazing people I've met and amazing mentors I've had are all because I've reached out and talked to someone, asked how they were doing, and it's really important. Those people skills really matter to propel you on the path, help you find opportunities that will advance you to your next goal in STEM.
And the last question, you kind of covered this in the question that I just asked you, but what's one piece of advice that you'd give to students who are considering neuroscience?
I would tell students not to jump into it just because it sounds cool, which is something I talk to people about. And it
Mhm.
does sound cool and it is really fascinating, but you should do it because it's interesting to you and it should be exciting to you.
Yeah, I think that definitely makes a ton of sense because if you're not actually devoted to it, and like you said before, this research is helping people. So if that's not really where your heart is, you have to figure out like what your priorities are. So those are all of the questions that I have written down for you today. If you have anything else, feel free to add.
I think I just want to like close is like
Mhm.
I never expected to get this far to where I am in neuroscience. I never expected to be a part of Johns Hopkins and the research community there. So if I can do it, I think other students can because all it takes is believing in yourself and believing that you can be the change in the world that you want to see because everyone is worth something. Like they all have a voice. So it's really important to be proud of it and put yourself out there and hopefully contribute to the world of STEM or whatever field you choose to go into.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for talking with us today.
Thank you so
Bye.
much, Jessica.